Hi guys, Twane here, the legal template analyst, and today I'm taking you through our commercial agreement of sale without the involvement of a real estate agent. Let's dive into it. So we start off by filling out the details of both the buyer and the seller to this agreement, as well as the details of the property being bought. The agreement then goes on to mention the purchase price as well as how that is going to be paid, and goes on to look at value added tax. The agreement then mentions things such as occupation, insurance of the property, and also ownership of the property. The agreement further looks at transfer of the property as well as any consent, surety, or nominations that are required under this agreement. The agreement also makes mention of things such as jurisdiction and footstewards. Jurisdiction is in the case of a dispute arising from this agreement, and footstewards just essentially says that the buyer is buying the property in the condition in which it currently stands. Then the agreement just goes on to make mention of the acknowledgements made by both the buyer and seller under this agreement, as well, of course, as the cooling off period as provided for under the law. The agreement then looks at breach of this agreement and the consequences of such a breach, as well as domicile of both the buyer and seller. Under domicile, you want to fill out your residential address as well as your email address. The agreement then goes on to look at the conditions of the property as well as a waiver made by the seller. The agreement also looks at suspensive conditions of this agreement of sale, and then some general clauses such as obtaining electrical and gas certificates as well as general conditions of the offer itself. The agreement also makes mention of the agreements as a whole, as well as the POPI clause. The POPI clause is for data protection purposes, and that gives you consent to have the buyer's information and sets out how that will be used and protected. The agreement then makes mention of Section 228 of the Companies Act, and that is if the property is the only major asset of the company, and then just sets out some general clauses within the purchase agreement. The agreement then also touches on the FICA clause as provided for in law, as well as special conditions of this offer, and that is then signed by both the buyer and seller and witnesses for each. The agreement then comes with an attachment, and that is a disclosure form for the condition of the property, setting out some basics with regards to the condition of the property that the owner will fill out, and that is then ultimately signed by the seller as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and please let me know if you have any other questions.